We are continuing today with antonyms as we march toward the mastery exam that will be on Friday for vocabulary 1 through 3 in Sadler Connect. So antonyms are numbers 61 through 80. So we're looking for words that have the opposite meaning. So here we go. The opposite of disjointed. And the word is coherent. If something is coherent, it sticks together. If your essay is coherent, then it has logical and subtle transitions. The opposite would be disjointed, disconnected. This word means the opposite of sluggishness. Sluggishness means very slow, and the word that you have that means done very quickly is celerity. So celerity is a noun, so it is the antonym of sluggishness. This word is the opposite of miserliness, spelled Miserliness. A miser is someone who's very stingy. So miserliness is the practice of being very stingy, very guarded with money. The opposite would be largesse, which means very generous, very giving. This word is the opposite of inter, I-N-T-E-R. To inter means to bury. If you read an obituary, typically they end with interment will be at and then the name of the cemetery because inter means to bury. Opposite of that is exhume. This word's the opposite of above board. Above board means open, out in public view. The opposite would be devious. So devious means concealed or not straightforward, doing something underhanded or below board. This word's the opposite of disbelief. So the word that you have that means belief, as in giving your mental assent to something, is credence. If you give credence to an idea, it means that you're giving it your belief. It's the opposite of disbelief. This word's the opposite of original, as in having an original idea. And the opposite is banal. Something that is banal is so overused that it has lost its meaning. This word's the opposite of melt. So the opposite of melt is to come together and form a solid. So that word is congeal. The opposite of avoid, as in avoiding a conversation with someone. And the word is accost, because accost means to approach and speak to first. This word's the opposite of embrace. If I refuse to embrace an idea or a situation, then I am shunning it, I'm pushing it away. And the word that you have that means that is eschew. So the opposite of embrace is to eschew. The opposite of tout, T-O-U-T. That's a verb, and to tout means to praise. The verb that you have that means to criticize, that would be the opposite of to tout, is decry. So the opposite of tout is decry. This word's the opposite of turbulent. The opposite of turbulent. So you need a word that means calm and peaceful, and that word is halcyon. This word's the opposite of remoteness. So you need a word that means nearness, and that word is propinquity. So the opposite of remoteness is propinquity. This word's the opposite of refute. So to refute something means to reject it. The opposite would be to give evidence to support it, and that word is substantiate. This word's the opposite of reluctant. If I'm reluctant to do something, I'm loath to do it. I do not want to do it. So the opposite would be avid, which means I'm very eager and very excited to do something. This word's the opposite of condemnation. Condemnation has a very negative connotation. It's a speech or any sort of written discourse that would be negative. And so the opposite of that would be a speech of praise, and that is encomium. This word is the opposite of indefensible. If your thesis is indefensible, it cannot be proved or substantiated. So the opposite of that is tenable. A tenable claim is one for which you can marshal support. The opposite of customary. If you demonstrate behavior that is uncustomary, it is unwanted. U-N-W-O-N-T-E-D, unwanted. The opposite of unseemliness. Seemly means to behave with a sense of decorum. So unseemliness means acting in a way that is not proper. So the opposite of unseemliness is propriety. To behave with a sense of propriety means that you have a sense of decorum or a sense of manners about you. And then the last word, the opposite of clandestine, clandestine. Something that is clandestine is secretive, and the opposite is overt. All right, so those are the 20 antonyms. They make up items 61 through 80. So at this point, you've got basic meanings, you've got synonyms, you've got antonyms. Tomorrow, we will conclude by doing 81 through 90, which is filling in the blanks, completing the sentence. And then we'll do 91 through 100, which are the analogies. The test will open on Friday, and my expectation is that you complete that in class on Friday. That counts as a 100-point grade. It's 100 items. Also on Friday, I will be releasing essay topics for Essay 2, which is exposition. So you know what that means for next week. Next week will be no vocabulary, and our sole focus will be on producing a formative rough draft by Wednesday to submit for feedback, and then getting a polished final draft finished up by that following Sunday night at midnight. So that will be Essay 2. And by the way, that will get us through fall break, and then we'll be taking a week off as we observe fall break within our local school districts. If you need any help with anything, or if you have any concerns about vocabulary, be sure to give me an email. I'll be glad to discuss that with you. And my plans also for tomorrow is that we have a Google Meet where we can discuss the essays that you've been reading and talk about what makes a good expository essay, because that's what you're writing for Essay 2. It's going to be expository. So just like we've talked about description and narration as a rhetorical mode of development, now we're looking at expository. And so as you're reading those model essays, be thinking, okay, what are the characteristics of good expository writing? Expository writing is simply informational. I'm trying to convey complex information to the reader, and what are some ways that I can do that? The essays you've been reading draw upon a number of different modes to do that. For example, definition, cause and effect, division and classification. So those are the kind of things I want you to notice as you read those essays, and think about how the author achieves that, because that's what you're going to emulate in Essay 2. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.